All right, so I would have already sent you this PowerPoint presentation. So this is going to be a short video with me just bringing everything together. So, you know, at the end, we understand what we're looking at and what we need to understand. So we started to look at social groups. So in our previous video, in the previous video I posted related to social groups, we defined what a group is. We also looked at the characteristics of a group, and we outlined the fact that it is based on levels of complexity in terms of the size of the groups. You have different interests. Groups can be created based on pairs. They can be formal, they can be informal. So that is what we were looking at. So this is basically applying another dimension to whichever group exists, meaning that what we're going to look at now, which is requirements for group cohesion, and we'll look at what that means. So whether it is a formal group, an informal group, a voluntary group, an involuntary group, an interest group, a peer group, whatever kind of group it is, there must be group cohesion, right? And what is group cohesion? Essentially, group cohesion speaks to keeping members together, working together, things that, let me use something else. You know, I like to use my little arrows, right? Things that keep the group together, right? So when we're looking at group cohesiveness, as you can even look at the picture here, everybody holds a part of the puzzle and we put it together, right? That's how we're going to complete our goal. This is how we're going to achieve our task if we all work together, right? So when we think of group cohesion, think of those bonds between the members of a group that essentially keep that group together. All right? All right. So for group cohesion, let me shift this thing. So for group cohesion, there must be a common goal. All right? People will join a group if they see that, oh, okay, well, I want to achieve that too. I want to do that, as is the case with an interest group, right? So say we looked at Black Lives Matter, for example, and we say that interest groups have a particular purpose. And say the actions of a group like Black Lives Matter or the Red Cross or Brownies or any group that is based on service and giving of your time and energy to fulfill the needs of the community or of a particular group of people, or whatever the case is, or whoever or whatever cause you're giving your time to. If you can look and say, okay, that group is doing something that I also want to do, well, that is a requirement for group cohesion. We're all on the same path, right? So people are often drawn to a group if they see that it will help achieve a goal that is important to them. Provided the goal remains valid and the members can see that the group is working to achieve that goal, they will remain committed to the group, right? So as long as you see, all right, this is their goal, they have been consistent. I can see that if I give my time, I am recognized. I can see if I pay dues or I give any donations, I can see where it is going. So we share a common goal. So of course I will remain in this group, right? And I'll work with the group. So we're all going in the same direction, hence the three little men carrying the arrow in the same direction. Yes. Leadership. Let me shift this out of the way. I don't know how it looks on your end. All right, so leadership. A group needs good leadership that formulates aims and objectives and organizes and coordinates the actions necessary to see that those aims and objectives are achieved. So in any group, if it is going to last, it must have a strong leadership foundation, right? Is the leader a strong leader, an effective leader, an organized leader? And we'll look at that in another video, the types of leadership. But a leader must be there, or better yet, a leadership body, because leadership is more than just one person being in charge. Those that have senior positions must bear in mind that you have others that you're to nurture to ensure that a line of succession can be created, meaning when you leave, somebody will take over and be as effective or even more effective than you are. You need to have a good leadership to ensure that rules and regulations are followed and are met. So good leadership for that reason is very important. Then we have authority. So effective leadership requires authority. This means that those in a leadership position have the right to make decisions on behalf of the group and to demand certain actions or behavior from the group's members. In an informal group, a leader may emerge from among the members, meaning that no one is going to vote and say you are the leader. But if you are the person that has authority, meaning that when you speak or you make a decision or you have any form of input, those around you listen to you, right? That is authority. So you can even think of any situation that you may have been in. Maybe you're in a club and it can be a case where the members of the club may listen to your perspectives more than they do the president of the club. You know what I mean? So you can have good leadership, but authority is that ability to make decisions on behalf of the group and have that group come on board or be in line with the decisions that you're making, right? So in an informal group, a leader may emerge, meaning that you're the person who just comes to the forefront and takes on the challenge and you carry it and everyone follows you. In a formal group, though, there's a formal voting system where those with the most votes or whatever the criteria is, they are elected based on set rules and regulations, right? So regardless of the way in which a leader is given authority, he or she must be able to exercise the authority, not only to direct a group's actions, but to also apply sanctions as necessary. So you can be a leader, but authority will come from your ability to not be biased in how you make your decisions, right? To not be prejudiced in how you make your decisions and how you relate to members of your group. So that authority will come from knowing that even if my vice president does something wrong, I will say what you are doing is wrong and you are going to be sanctioned. Even down to the smallest person, or better yet, the person with the least amount of responsibility within the group, you can exercise authority and say, you know what? You did a really good job. I'm going to assign you this particular position because you have done so well, right? Instead of giving it to somebody because they are your friends or they believe they should get it, or whatever the case is. That authority that comes with your decision making. I will sanction anyone from the top to the bottom who is not falling in line with the rules and regulations of this club. And that authority comes from a place of knowing that if this group is going to exist over a long period of time, I must set an example of ensuring that rules and regulations are met, right? Activities are coordinated properly and well organized. I have to ensure that I lead well, because a group that doesn't have a strong leader or leadership along with that authority, that group will eventually just break apart, right? Because there's nothing holding it together. Because remember, we're looking at group cohesion. So if a group is going to be held together, you have to have leadership. There must be authority, right? These things are integral if a group is going to continue. Then we have control. Without control and coordination, the group's efforts to achieve its goals will not be as effective. The actions and behaviors of individual members also need to be controlled to maintain good relationships and to avoid any negative perceptions of the group from outside. Control is achieved through rules and regulations and through the leadership, ensuring compliance with those rules. So essentially everything that I have mentioned before leads into control. And that's what you have to look at when you're looking at group cohesiveness. For a group to be cohesive, you literally need all of these elements. You need to have the authority, because the authority is going to influence the amount of control that is present in a group. If when, as the leader, you speak, no one listens, everyone does what they feel, how will a common goal be accomplished, right? So all of these elements work hand in hand. And then we have cooperation. A group will not last as long if its members pull in different directions. Many groups form because the members understand that working in a group will be the most effective way of achieving a desired goal, and that cooperation, working together and pooling talent, skills, and resources will bring out the greatest benefits. A failure to cooperate can lead to a breakdown of relationships, the formation of factions, and ultimately the demise of the group. So when we're talking about cooperation, you cannot have a group that has subgroups, right? So you can't be in Key Club or Interact or Brownies or Red Cross or any group that you're a part of, or even an informal group that may be a group with your friends. It cannot be a cohesive group if myself and three other people, we don't listen to the vice president because we don't like him or her. And then they're going to say, well, we don't listen to the president because they listen to the vice president more than they listen to the president. And so we're going to listen to the president, they're going to listen to the vice president, and another group will come and say, you know what, we're not going to listen to the vice president or the president. We're going to create our own groups and we're going to do our own thing. A group that is being pulled in different directions cannot last, and for obvious reasons. Because remember, we started off by saying a common goal is necessary. So if we have a group that has subgroups and they all have their different goals, there's no longer a goal in common. So how do we achieve it? How do we achieve something if we say, okay, goal A is what we're striving for, and the two people are focusing on goal A because of whatever personal issues they may have, and there's goal B and there's goal C, and four follow goal C, and one follows goal B, the point is nothing will get done because everybody isn't pooling their resources. So the talents and the skills and the resources, instead of it being focused on one goal or even multiple goals that we all have in common, it's being divided amongst different goals because it doesn't having common goals doesn't mean that it has to be one or two. We can have 10 things that we're all trying to achieve. But what makes it effective or what creates cohesion is that we are all focused on all those 10 goals. And with our leadership and authority, we know the order in which we are going to achieve those goals. So we're going to go goal A. Then when that is accomplished, we move to goal B. When that is accomplished, we move to goal C, then D, then E, then F, and that is how we handle it. So we need that corporation to know that, all right, we have things that we need to accomplish, and this is how we're going to accomplish them. This is the order that we're going to use to accomplish them, right? So this is absolutely necessary for group cohesion. And then we have commitment and loyalty. Members of a group usually have a sense of commitment and loyalty. Commitment is evident when people give up their time, energy, and resources, and loyalty produces a sense of allegiance. So you're going to need that commitment. And that is why all of these elements I said to you work hand in hand, right? When we have a common goal, we have authority, we have our leadership, there is control, we have all the elements in play. And your commitment means that whatever time that I have, I'm going to give it to this goal. Whatever energy I have, I'm going to give it to this goal. Whatever resources, be it money, be it my skills, whatever is needed, I'm going to give this goal all that is there that I can give in terms of commitment, right? The loyalty means that I have an allegiance, meaning that I'm going to do it for this group. This is the group I stand for. And when we think of allegiance, you can even think of our political parties, right? Even though there are elements of that are completely dysfunctional. But allegiance is important. You'll hear people who are PNP who will say, yeah, if you cut me, I'll bleed orange. And people who are JLP who will say, if you cut me, I'll bleed green. Whatever the case is, it still speaks to an allegiance. This is the group that I am focused on, and I'm not interested in any other group, right? Because I'm focused on this group and their goals and their ways of achieving those goals is what I am interested in, right? So loyalty just means a sense of allegiance, meaning that this is my group. And the commitment speaks to you knowing that this is your group, so you're going to give up all of your time and energy, right? So members may feel less committed if they do not see the aims of the group being achieved, if they feel the group is poorly led, or that there is a lack of control. Sometimes the values that drew a person to a particular group at a particular time no longer apply to them. When this happens, they can lose commitment and leave the group. So if you don't have a committed team, people are going to start to leave. And then you won't be able to achieve your goals because you don't have the same pool of talent and resources, right? So that is the idea. So we're going to be looking at the interaction within and between groups. And this is a very short section, and you just need to remember what we refer to as the 4 C's. 4 C's: cooperation, competition, compromise, conflicts. These are group dynamics, all right? So examining group dynamics, which involves the interaction between members of groups and between different groups, help us understand how groups work, all right? So cooperation occurs when people sense that more will be achieved with cooperation than without it. Cooperation is most needed when a group is facing a particular challenge or striving for a specific goal. Group members are encouraged and motivated to work together by the leader and by one another. Competition between groups can be one challenge that stimulates greater and closer cooperation within a group. For example, sports teams practices team skills and concentrates on working well as a unit as they prepare to play another team. So, for example, you are on a basketball team. What you'll do is you will split up that team and have them compete against each other, because that competition will increase or improve their skills. So when they come together as a group, they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they would have developed techniques that they can use together to defeat another group, right? So cooperation is needed when you are faced with any challenge or you have a specific goal that will need everybody's hands on deck, that will need everybody's involvement, right? Cooperation also happens between groups when they see that they share a particular goal or aim and recognize that more will be achieved through working together. Group members cooperate either because they see the benefits of cooperating or because they understand that not cooperating will make them feel guilty or anger other group members, right? So again, pretty much everything that we have been looking at. So we need to work together because we have a particular aim. And even if we're not 100% on board, we're going to cooperate because we know that everybody expects us to cooperate. Because if we don't, everybody's going to look at us and say, oh, the group isn't working, or we're not achieving this goal because of you. So either because you don't want to feel guilty, or you feel guilty because you don't want to do something, or because if you don't do it, others are going to be angry, you're going to cooperate. So whatever the motivation for the cooperation is still very much needed. And this is what we mentioned earlier. Competition between members within a group is often a source of enjoyment and means of improving skills and performance. Individual members constantly strive to achieve their personal best and to perform whatever task or function they have to, and do this to the best of their ability. Competition between groups sees the skills and abilities of individual members being put to the test. Such competition, let me move this. Such competition also highlights the need for cooperation between members who are working as a team. So this is essentially what we looked at with a basketball team or any group, where you can have the group separate and have little competitive activities between them. So it's a group that is focusing on presentation. You can put them against each other and say, all right, debate this. I'm going to put you against this group and you're going to debate it, and we're going to see what ideas we can come up with. That can sharpen the skills of members of the group. All right? Compromise. In seeking compromise, human beings, I need to edit that. In seeking compromise, human beings are able to balance their own drive for gratification, and that means getting what you want, with the factors that are working to deny this. Compromise is essentially a process of bargaining that seeks to find a solution that is acceptable to all parties. The resulting solution is not necessarily the one a particular party wants, but it is understood that accepting it allows for progress. And this is similar to what we were saying before as it relates to members participating or cooperating because they don't want, whether or not, let me rephrase that. So this goes back to what I said here. Why is this not working? Okay, multitasking, sorry about that. So this goes back to what I said here about members choosing to cooperate, whether or not they're totally on board, maybe as a result of guilt or anger. The act of cooperating despite how you may feel because it's for the greater good of the group is compromise. If the screen would just work at the same pace that I'm working at. All right. So the ability to work on a goal despite your personal feelings is the ability to compromise, and this is needed. And then we have conflict. So conflict in the context of our social group can arise simply because there is a clash of personalities between certain group members. In some cases, the conflict may arise because of a difference of opinion regarding a goal or objective, or a dispute about how that goal will be best achieved. Few people really enjoy conflict, but it is an important part of life that needs to be recognized and dealt with. Conflict resolution requires a number of attitudes and skills, including the recognition of one's own contribution to the conflict, the cultivation of a tolerant and constructive approach, and a personal commitment to relationship building ensures that you can have a healthy group dynamic. So when we see the word conflict, you're going to think, but Miss, if we are so cohesive, then why is there going to be conflict? Why is conflict necessary? The answer to that question is that in conflict, you are able to come up with solutions. And conflict doesn't mean that we're fighting and being disrespectful, right? Whether fighting verbally or fighting physically. Conflict just means that we have a difference of opinions, and you will have that, right? You will have that in any setting. You may say something, someone doesn't agree with it. Someone may disagree with you, you may disagree with someone, whatever the case is. But in taking the time to understand the source of that disagreement, meaning that you're going to say, okay, well, this is what I think, but I realize that you don't share this opinion. Why is that so? And you can explain to me your perspective, right? And I can say, I did not think of that, right? And you can explain yourself, and the person can say, interesting, I didn't think of that. So because we've had conflicts, right? And we have managed our conflicts, meaning that we have resolved the conflict. So we have conflict resolution, meaning that we have come to some resolve regarding the matter. We are able to both learn and grow, and the common goal can be further strengthened. So we understand what issues may arise, and as a result of that, we are more focused on our goals and the issues that may come about. When we're looking at even leadership and authority, a good leader is not going to shut down someone because they disagree. A good leader will take the time to listen. And if members of a group see that they can disagree with their leader respectfully, and their concerns are heard, and their concerns are considered and incorporated into planning for something else, you will have greater group cohesion. So you can feel free to express yourself. So you don't feel as though you're in some dictatorial situation or an authoritative situation where you cannot express an opinion, because that will negatively impact group cohesion. Because if you find that you can't give an opinion to your leader, to your boss, to whatever the term is you refer to anyone who is in that position of authority, whatever term you use, whether boss, leader, whatever it is, if you find that whenever you open your mouth, your boss is there at your throat, you're going to keep your opinions to yourself. And you will find that after a while, the common goal will start to weaken, commitment and loyalty will start to weaken, because you will have people who have particular skills and talents and resources who will refuse to share it because they know that anything outside of what the leader wants will not be welcome. So any group that exists and has a dynamic similar to that will not have group cohesion. And without group cohesion, a group cannot stand the test of time. A group will not last if there is no group cohesion.